HWYRT.
How was your run today?
How was your run today? How has all of your runs been?
Brian, you are tantalizing my earlobes with beautiful, melodious tunes.
Well, you can thank DJ Mr. Rourke for creating that little ear nugget.
You mean the HWYRT anthem, which will be playing in its entirety at the end of this show?
That's right. Listen on through the credits, folks, and we'll just play the whole thing. Or you can go onto SoundCloud or Facebook or any number of digital spaces to listen to that anthem.
Thank you, DJ Rourke. You are a miracle worker. Brian, what's happening today?
Peter, I have a non-running related comment.
All right. I guess that's okay.
Okay. On January 1st, 2015.
So a year and 9.5 months ago.
On that date, Massachusetts became the last state in the country of the United States of America to allow its citizens to do what?
I don't know.
To go to the gas station, to put the gas pump handle into their car, pull the trigger to deploy the gasoline into their gas tank,
Yeah.
and use their finger to move the little trigger clip holder and hold the trigger open so that gas would flow freely and you could remove your hand. Do you know what I'm talking about?
You're saying as of January 1st, 2015, Massachusetts became the last state to ban that?
To allow them. Since the 1970s, Massachusetts has banned what are called trigger clips.
The little flap of metal you put down, you can release your hand.
Metal, and everywhere else in the country, every other state you've ever filled up a rental car or a car you've owned or someone else's car you may have borrowed, you have pumped gas, and in the wintertime,
You take your gas cap.
you may have taken a gas cap, you may have taken an apple core, whatever you found rolling
core,
around
good
the
one,
bottom,
yeah.
the floor of your car, you shoved it in there.
A Sunkist bottle.
That's
Because
right.
we all had Sunkist bottles in the wells of our cars.
That's right. And jammed it in there, got back in your car because it was 14 below zero. And then you got out and you said, every other state I've ever pumped gas in, I've just moved my finger and a little trigger clip holder engaged.
Which is far safer because it knows to stop and release.
That's
As opposed to the Sunkist bottle, which
it just
doesn't,
keeps on pumping.
just lets you flow the gas.
Now, what year is it we are in now that I'm talking to you in,
Why
Peter?
are you talking about this a year and 9 months later? What's happening?
Because it's taken that long
Yes?
for enough gas pump handles
Yes.
to break or become defective,
Yes?
and for gas station owners to replace them with ones with active trigger clips.
I got to tell you.
And so as I've been pumping gas this summer, I've noticed gas station after gas station I've gone to, suddenly, like a normal human should be able to do, I can put the stupid thing in the car, I can pull the handle, I can flip my finger, and then just stand there, maybe squeegee my own windows.
Yo.
Peter, it has frustrated me forever that Massachusetts has denied us the pleasure of standing next to our car doing nothing while gas flows through freely into our gas tank.
Are you happier now?
So much more happy to have joined the first world.
The first world of gas consumption?
Well, that's true
Efficient
too.
gas consumption?
Yeah, efficient, safe, and in the wintertime I can go back in my car and wait. Now, there are some states, New Jersey prominent among them,
Yes.
that don't even let you pump your own gas at all.
Absolutely not.
I don't know why this is. There's probably a reason somewhere.
It's about disabilities. It's about people in wheelchairs. And it's about equal access to gas.
Is that right?
That is correct, sir.
Well, you know that any gas station in the country, if you are in a wheelchair, supposedly, so the signage reads, because I've read it, that you honk your horn a certain number of times and the attendant knows to come out and to pump the gas.
Yeah, and New Jersey thought you shouldn't have to self-identify. So blam.
So that's pretty good.
That is pretty good. I'm not saying everyone needs to do that, but it wouldn't be bad if they did. I think you should have both all the time.
I think that's amazing that you know that that's the reason. Was there a lawsuit or legislation, or how did this come about?
I'll have to do. My assumption is that there was a lawsuit at some
Right.
point, but I don't know that, and I only know that because I've spent many a day in New Jersey.
Well, I tell you, I don't spend that many days in New Jersey, but I have pumped up the old tank there, and I always thought that it was sort of a jobs legislation thing, that at some point either the governor or the state legislature said, let's improve our jobs numbers, and if we force every gas station to have an employee on hand or enough adequate employees to pump everybody's gas, there'll be more people employed. Now, when you think about it, really that's not going to employ that many people.
No.
Because there's got to be somebody working the gas station anyway. So
This
maybe
probably
it's
already is, yeah.
a few hundred jobs. It really wouldn't be worth legislating, would it?
No.
So that was faulty thinking on my end.
Yep. Way to go.
Hmm.
All right, see you next week.
Come on, break.
Peter, I neglected to tell you about a terrible mistake I made.
I'm going to say something now before you continue that you have now, in as many shows, 3, 4, come up with some reason to apologize for something, and I don't know what's going on with you. You're probably going to have to apologize next week for that gas thing you just did, which is fine.
I apologize now. It had nothing to do with running.
We're all here for you. It's your show. Go ahead. Apologize away.
This has nothing to do with anything I said on air or off. I'm not even apologizing for it. I'm telling you I made a mistake. And this is what it was.
Okay.
When I went to New York City for a nice vacation with my family.
Where you also joined the November Project in Manhattan.
We did a November Project workout. I brought running sneakers for that event. I knew that was probably going to happen. I also brought a pair of older running sneakers that had been retired from the road to be my walking around shoes.
Just your kicking around stuff.
Yeah. And when you're down in the city,
Asphalt jungle, baby.
you do a lot of walking.
Yep.
And I experienced in a very small way what you must have experienced prior to being diagnosed with Achilles tendonitis. Because you know what I was doing, Peter?
Go on.
I was putting miles and miles and miles on old, worn-down sneakers, thinking that
that
everything was fine because I wasn't running
that
in them.
had no right to be on your feet anymore?
Yeah, maybe to mow the lawn, and that's about it.
You were being a little Uncle Scroogey McDuck.
I was being very much Scroogey McDuck, and I'll tell you, by the time we were walking from our hotel, dragging our suitcases over to Penn Station because we took the Amtrak,
You would have paid 3 times as much money for feet that
I
didn't
could
hurt.
barely
Yeah,
walk. I was
exactly.
walking,
Yes.
throwing my right leg in front of me, and then dragging my left leg, and my ankles hurt, my knees hurt, my hip was throbbing to the point where I was really glad to sit on a train for the next 4 hours because I didn't know how much further I was going to walk. Got home, had to do a little food shopping, put on normal shoes. All the problems were solved.
You were making a little fun of my substantial, I believe is the word you used, Brooks Addiction walking shoes.
Yeah, I would have paid $4 million per shoe
Exactly.
to have put those on at that time.
I'm glad you've learned a lesson. You're only hurting yourself.
Peter, I really thought that I was injured. I thought I was in real trouble. And I got rid of those shoes. I put something on, and I was instantly healed.
Good for you. What'd you do? You went to Penn Station and got on a train?
Yeah, I got on the Acela train.
Tell me another story about a train, Brian. Do we have another story about a train? Only one that has to do with running?
Is this why we're here? To talk about running?
And this is where we'd have a teletype machine. Fresh from the headlines.
Ripped from the headlines, folks.
The names have been changed. Did something happen in the news this past week?
In fact, that's true. In the Lehigh Valley Health Network Via Marathon.
I saw this on the Washington Post. I've seen this all over the interwebs.
Yeah, guys, go to the Washington Post video, which is pretty incredible. What happened was, in the course of a marathon, and remember, this is the weekend before the Monday where people can begin to register who qualified for the Boston Marathon. So this is a big deal.
This particular race that you're speaking of was a true Boston qualifier.
It was a
True?
qualifier and a Apparently, it's a nice course, not too hilly, et cetera, so people do qualify there. And we're going to talk to a guy in a couple of minutes, Pat, who's both a listener of this podcast and someone who is trying to improve his qualifying time. Now, he'd already run a Boston qualifier and made it, but he was trying to improve his time because the marathon's so popular that you often have to beat that qualifying time by several minutes to ensure that you're going to get into the race. And so he was, if you go to that video, one of those people standing there, hundreds of racers deep, waiting for the train to go by.
It's crazy. And these things happen, but let's go to him now. Let's talk to Pat, see what he has to say for himself. The magic of Skype. Hello, Pat.
Hi, guys. How are you?
We're great. How are you after the marathon?
I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, I've just been enjoying the week off now.
Now, with the train in front of you, how long did you stand still?
Well, at minimum 4 minutes. It may have been a little bit more than 4 minutes, but at minimum 4.
Yeah, we just watched a video a little while ago that the Washington Post had that a user had put up of that train moving slow, but not. I was just saying to Brian, it's not moving so slow that I would risk jumping in between the cars. Did you even consider that or no?
No. A guy I was running with, we were probably there's probably maybe 30 to 40 people ahead of us when we were coming down to that point. And you had to go down this hill, and it crossed over these tracks. And someone behind me said, "Oh no, the train." And I looked, and I could see this train kind of just passing through. And we watched a couple people actually hop in between the cars and run. And my buddy that I was running with was like, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Nothing. That's it. We have to wait for this train to go." I was not going to go hop through between the cars because you get sucked right under there. That stopped the whole race. Luckily, no one got hurt.
See, when I first read that article, I had in my mind that the train had stopped like in an intersection. And that's what everyone was waiting for. And maybe some people were walking over the connections between the cars. But this train never stopped. It was just moving through a railroad crossing at the worst time. Now, you said that slowed you down for about 4 minutes. Peter and I were having a little debate about whether or not you would stop your watch at that point, your GPS watch.
Yeah, I actually thought of that. Because if I'm running, I live in Worcester, so if I'm running down the city streets, I'll stop my watch, and keep going if I get stopped at a stoplight. But I thought that I needed to keep it running so I'd know what the time clock was, for the race, because we were trying to still qualify. So I still wanted to know what the actual clock that started at the start line was reading.
Because, Pat, where was this in the race? Around mile 7?
Yeah, we had just hit mile 7, so we're maybe 7.5-ish, somewhere in that range.
So did part of you think, okay, I got 2/3 of this race still to go, or whatever, give or take, I can make this up, or were you totally shattered?
That's a lot of time to make up.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize how much time we were sitting there until we hit mile 8. At mile 8, then I could understand. It was easy for me to be like, well, we should have been at X amount of minutes at mile 8. You were not. So, at that point, my buddy had actually said, like, how are we doing on pace? And at that, I said, we're really off. We're about 4 to 4.5 minutes off. And I didn't even want to do the math. It was already a warm day, and we were just kind of sticking on what the pace was agreed upon. And there was no way we would be able to do that. At that point, I knew I was just going to turn it into enjoying it, having a fun time. Slapped a bunch of pans, stopped and saw my wife at mile 13. She was yelling at me to go because she didn't really realize what had happened. So she was like, "What are you doing? Keep on going." And I kind of told her that I wasn't going to be able to make the qualifying standard, so I was just kind of enjoying the race from there on out.
Was that back half more enjoyable for you once you sort of let it go?
Relatively, yeah. I mean, it was enjoyable in the sense that I wasn't really worried about, you know what I mean? It wasn't very anxious, except it's still, you're still running 26 miles, so you still hurt. It was fun. I had as much fun as I could. It was very hot too, so my wife said it was like 84 degrees at the finish line, when we finished. And the previous day was 95. When we got into town that day, it was 95 degrees out. And then that morning, it was like 74 at the start and decently humid. So it was kind of going to be a tough day for everybody. But, a bunch of women got qualifiers, which was great. The men, not so much for my age group, men. Usually that's a good race for people to qualify right before the registration starts for Boston. And this year, that really kind of screwed a lot of people. But, it is what it is. Sometimes it happens in life.
Have you had any contact with the Boston Athletic Association?
Oh, no. People were talking about it while we were running on this bike path. Because what happened eventually was, so the train came by, and some people are saying the train actually went by for 7 minutes, maybe 8 minutes. So we had probably 150 to 200 people were waiting for that train. And then all of a sudden the train goes by, and we had to launch onto like a 3-foot bike path. And you had 200 people going onto a 3-foot bike path, and they're already like very anxious and wanting to get going. So there was some chatter and talking, and I kind of knew that there's no way you could make up the time. You know what I mean? How do you prove to somebody that I was there for 4 minutes, but this person was there for 7 minutes when they didn't have a timing chip at the railroad crossing? So there's nothing to make it legitimate. So I kind of knew the BA, there was no recourse for it. And other people were like, oh yeah, and I didn't say anything to people. I kind of just kept it to myself. And then I guess the BA came out this week and said, yeah, we're not going to take any adjusted times. Via the charity arm of the race that organizes the Lehigh Valley Marathon, they came out with an email asking people to send the pertinent information on whether, how the train affected their race, and they were going to try to see what they could do. But then the BA, and they must have contacted the BA, and the BA said, we'll take any race results you have as long as they're not adjusted. So for someone like me, I mean, my time, I ended up I stopped to see my wife, I walked through the water stops, I enjoyed it, so I ended up being way off of what I was planning on it. So I wasn't even close. Even if they adjusted it by 10 minutes, I wouldn't be close to the standard, and I wouldn't expect to take that because it is what it is. That's racing.
Yeah, and it changed your whole race. I mean, and if it was 95, nobody would have made their times anyway. I mean, the train would be a big encumbrance, but anything can be. The weather, chiefly being the first. And funny enough, as you probably know if you've listened to the show, by the time the train had passed, that's about when Pierre and I would be eventually getting up to that starting line as back of the Packers and just starting to run.
Yeah, we wouldn't even.
So we wouldn't have even known.
Yeah, that was something that there was plenty of people that didn't get impeded by the train because they never knew it had happened. It was really just like I said, 150. I'm just guesstimating as well, but I would say maybe 150 people were affected, and that included like relay team runners because they had like a relay going on as well amongst the race. Probably some people that ended up actually beating me that didn't even know about the train really, and because once you get it, I was just kind of jogging it in for the rest of it, trying not to get hurt.
Jogging in your sub-7s.
Yeah, sub-8s. I didn't hit a lot of sub-7s that day. That was the plan, but I ended up doing sub-8s. But yeah, it was a fun day, and some people were very upset, and railing against the race director, and I kind of just took it in stride. I tried to.
As you know, it takes so much to train for and gear up for it, and you can get very frustrated in the moment, for sure.
Yeah, very easy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, I mean, there'll be people that will probably – I sent an email when they asked us for an email. I sent an email. I said I didn't think that they should change the times and the times should stay what they were, and they should just give someone a complimentary race entry fee or a reduced price next year to try to get them to come back. I've heard some pretty good things about that marathon. I didn't think it was a terrible course at all. It was very nice. It's just unfortunate, and that's kind of the way things go in life sometimes. Is stuff happens. I mean, there'll be. I talked to a guy after the race that he would say the absolute opposite. He was railing and railing and railing against the whole thing, but I think you have to have a bigger perspective sometimes about things.
Yeah, and you're right, though. The race could make lemonade out of it, and next year either offer discounted or free for those that they can prove were directly affected.
Well, and this is not the first time this has happened at other marathons. This is the first time it happened at this one. Personally, I don't know if I'd want to do Lehigh again if I was really trying to go for a qualifier and I had tight time like that, because you never know about this train situation. It could happen again. It could never. I mean, they've done it for 10 years. This is the first time it ever happened. But for people that, like my buddy who didn't have a qualifier, it kind of was a big waste of time for him. I think because I had the qualifier, it didn't bother me as much. So, but it was a very, very nice course, and the half marathon was after that point. Obviously, they right at the half point, that's where the half marathon starts. So all the half marathoners and marathoners finish in the same area. I would definitely maybe go back to run the half, or be part of like some sort of relay team.
Speaking of halves, are you doing the BAA half by chance?
No, I'm not. I'm actually right now enjoying a week off from running, and then I'll start picking stuff back up next week. And then I'm going to do a few smaller races. I think I'm going to do the Boston Firefighters 10K in October. And then I usually do a Thanksgiving run out. I live in Worcester, so out in Shrewsbury, which is the next town over, they do a turkey trot, a 5-miler with my wife. So I'll do that. So those are kind of my next big things. And I'm actually helping pace a friend at Marine Corps Marathon in October. So I am kind of doing a longer one too, but that'll be more of a long run for me, just helping a buddy of mine finish it.
That's great. Well, Pat, I just have one more question, which is, have you been able to register for the Boston Marathon yet this year?
No, I have not, because like I said, my time was only 1 minute and 9 seconds, so I'm waiting for Monday. So I'll register on Monday, and hopefully, from what I've heard, is you have to wait until almost mid-October to find out whether or not you actually get in. So I'll apply on Monday, register, and then we'll see if I'm running on sometime around Columbus Day weekend.
All right. Well, good luck.
Yeah, keep us posted on that. Good luck. We hope you get in.
Okay, yeah, me too. And thank you very much, guys. And I love the podcast. It's a great podcast. You know, I always talk a lot about you guys with my wife. She finds it pretty amusing too. So.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in, and take it easy.
Huge thanks to Pat for taking time out of his normal life to come and talk to two guys who cannot run nearly as fast as he can, even when a train is stopping him in his path.
You know, Peter, I may have been driving that train.
I was thinking about.
I said, you people are running too fast.
I was thinking about laying down on the train while he was talking, because I was like, I can't imagine running. What was he saying? He was doing a sub what? Sub 7?
Sub 7 for sure.
Oh.
You remember the Christopher Reeve movie, Superman? I mean, the original. Not the original Superman, but that wonderful rendition of Superman, the movie.
1979, Superman the movie.
Exactly.
Written by Mario Puzo, who also wrote The Godfather. Little known fact.
Well, it's not little known. I think he won an Oscar for it.
The Godfather he did.
And Superman that year, I think, won the Oscar.
No, it did not for script writing.
Didn't Marlon Brando win for oldest actor?
Hello, my son.
In any case, I was thinking as he was describing the train, I was thinking this would be a perfect time for Superman to swoop down and pick up the train and move it to a different place on the tracks. That's the kind of thing Superman should do, is protect marathoners who are trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon.
We just did all of that to get to that? That was your hook?
All of what? I brought up Superman. What's the big deal?
Thanks to Pat for calling in.
Don't you think we could use a superhero every once in a while to fix normal lives,
and
little
gas
problems?
Pumps, all the gas pumps and the superheroes out of work who could use jobs.
Well, what are all the used up sidekicks doing? They're working in New Jersey pumping gas.
Oh, my God.
Folks, Peter's head is actually exploding.
Brian, how was your run today?
Peter, have you ever awoken from a taxing nightmare in which you're sweating,
That cold, hot sweat?
cold sweat, you wake up in a fog, your eyes take a while to adjust?
You don't know where
Darkness.
you are. You don't know where you are. You don't know who you are.
You're not sure if you're in your childhood bed, if you're below decks on a yacht,
Maybe you've gone through the metamorphosis.
maybe you're a large bug,
Could be.
maybe you're in a prison in a South American country.
A gulag.
You're not sure where you are, and you are slowly trudging through darkness and shame. Have you ever had that feeling, having woken up in that condition?
Yeah, it was mile 21 through 24 of the Boston Marathon.
Well, that was the situation I found myself in from mile 0.5 to about mile 3.5 in my long, slow distance run this morning.
So
It was horrible.
You went out. Would you say you were ill prepared?
Yeah. It was as if I've never done this before. I woke up, and that's what happened, right? I said, I've done this before. I raced a 10-miler last week. No
I'm
problem.
good. This is nothing.
Do you know what I did before the race? In the 12 hours before the race?
I don't.
Well, I slept adequately. I drank plenty of water. And, maybe I woke up and ate an English muffin with peanut butter on it and a banana before I embarked on a 10-mile race. You know what I did in the 12 hours prior to this morning's long run?
You didn't respect yourself or what the power of running is?
Or that I'm, like, deeply middle-aged?
And you're a physical being with limitations and requirements in order to do certain tasks?
Yeah. All of those.
I'm awake. I can go run.
It's just, why don't I smoke 2 cigars while I'm doing it too?
Yeah, why don't you?
Well, I might as well have.
That actually probably would have given you a little bit of a buzz. You probably would have made it.
It was awful. All of it was awful. I didn't eat anything.
Okay, what were you doing?
I brought 2 goos. I ate.
But what was
both of
that,
them.
though? But what was that? Let's be real honest about it.
What?
So you wake up.
Yeah.
You don't really prep at all. You strap the
I was
shoes
up
on.
very late last night.
Okay, but you get out there.
But I got out there.
And are you like, I'm not hungry. I don't need to eat. My body's fine. What's the rationale you're going through?
Well, what I've been doing is, we talked about this a couple of months ago, in my workouts, my weekly, week a day. No, what's that term?
a week a day.
Yeah, my week a day workouts. No, that's not the right word.
I don't know, but I love that term. Week a day. Your weekday?
My weekday workouts, I'm typically not eating breakfast beforehand when I go do November Project or I run in the morning. It's a new thing I'm doing. It's fine. But this is like a 40-minute exercises. Then I come back and I chow down.
But you're hydrating.
I'm absolutely hydrating. And that's what I'm doing. So now I have it in my mind. Oh, I can do anything prior to eating, and then I come. Peter, have I ever run a race? Have I ever run a marathon?
I've seen you do it.
Have I ever done anything physical in my life? Yes. And I've lost all of those lessons.
No, you haven't. You just... Hubris, my friend. It's hubris.
So I woke up and I strapped on the shoes and I put 2 goos in my little pouch and I got my water and I started running, and about 3/4 of a mile in, it was like I hit the wall at 20 miles. It was the worst. I bonked hard. I walked. I jogged a little. I ate both goos. I was hungry.
Whoa.
I was lightheaded.
Did you do 2 goos back to back?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, that's awful. Whoa, okay, to be fair to you...
Drank all my water in like 1 minute.
To be fair to you, it was deceptively humid today.
It was absolutely
It
a
looks
swamp
like it's
out
not
there.
going to be, and then you get out there and you're like, it's just a thick cloud.
Yeah, and I was cold and clammy and sweaty
and nasty.
hot all at the same time.
So you come back home.
So
You experienced total
I
failure.
wouldn't even say I gutted out 4 miles because that means like you try.
No, you moved your body somehow.
I
You transported
I went
yourself.
2 miles away from my house
and then 2 miles back in some way.
in some
At
fashion.
some speed.
That didn't involve an internal combustion engine. Maybe. No, it didn't. And I immediately ate a banana, sat down, confessed to my 12-year-old daughter what had happened, drank a lot of water, ate a Fig Newton, and said, well, I guess I got to go back out there. And banged out a 6-miler like it's...
Like a champion.
Nobody's business.
Like a champion.
Like a champ. Like I'm supposed to do. Like as if, I don't know, I'm training for a marathon.
Okay, so I think this is key. You experience failure. You
Utter
address
failure.
you address yourself. You speak to yourself in the framework of failure is what you did.
Yeah.
So now you have to remember that whenever you go for any kind of sizable run, immediately put yourself in the framework of failure so that you avoid it and you succeed. That's what you didn't do. You were too tired, too undernourished, too probably hydrated.
All of those are
You
true.
lulled yourself into thinking it was a victory just to be standing up and out of bed.
That's right.
Where the victory really is, hey, self-assess, jerkface. Know what you got to do.
Yeah.
And you have to framework it of failure. Boom, out you go, succeed.
Thank you.
I'm going to write a book about it. The Framework of Failure. I thought I'd be thinner.
I
think that's co-written, ghostwritten by Amy Moritz.
Peter, you know,
Wait, ask me how my run was today. Go ahead. Unprompted. Go ahead, ask me. Unprompted. Go ahead. I have nothing to say. Go ahead, ask me.
what I was going to say was, hey, Peter, I was checking social media recently,
The soch.
and that was going to prompt me to say, how was your run today? But because you were so jerky just now,
I'm living in the framework of failure right now.
I'm going to ask, how was your framework of failure today? Now, Peter, how was your run today?
I have not run today. Thank you for asking. But
Shh, your doctor's not listening to this program.
had you asked me yesterday, I would have told you it was really good. Here's what I did. I went out for a walk in the middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I walked a little over a mile. Felt good.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the old watch. Went for a 1 mile run. Clocked it at a 10-mile pace. Felt great. Felt like I could keep on going. And that's when I knew I should stop. So I turned the watch off, reset it, went back to walking, walked another 2+ miles. So I ended up doing a little over 4 for the day with a nice 1 miler right in the middle of it. And it felt fine. There was no adverse effects. But yet. And I want to be careful.
And all medical advice has been, don't run.
Well, medical advice has been get on an elliptical, use it, and certainly walk on it and do whatever. And the walks have been so good, and it was such a beautiful day, and I was near Jamaica Pond, and I had to try.
Well,
I just felt it. My body said...
Chalk that up to happy day exuberance.
Could be.
You know, maybe a dog was chasing you. You need to run.
Could be.
Who knows?
I had been doing a thing where at crosswalks I was sprinting on my walks to and from work, so I knew the motion didn't hurt. And I was very concerned about what it would feel like afterwards. No ill effects yet.
Did you ice it?
I've iced it.
See,
I've not ibuprofen, though. I've sort of gotten off the
Well,
medicine.
You shouldn't have. You know, you're acting like an adult, whereas I was acting like a child.
Yeah, you're dumb. But you're getting better.
Am I?
Yes, because as Amy Moritz told us, we're learning from our failures. Our failures are important. You just had a lot of them. And you should know better by now, but you don't. And that's why we do this show, to remind you of your failures.
I'll tell you this. My friend Todd, who lives in East Timor, if you don't know where that is, look it up. And he did a 5-day bike race.
Yeah.
Grueling mountain bike race. I don't know what possessed him to do this. And his daily reports were sort of like, blah, 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 dehydrated, blah, 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 medical attention.
Oh, yes.
Blah, 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 only fell once. Rough conditions and hot. It's very hot there.
Nasty.
And I think day 4, he was recounting. He got a flat only 10 or 20 miles from that day's finish.
Sure.
And he got out his spare tire. It had 2 flats in it. And then finally the military came up because they were near the race or something and helped him patch it. And then it kept popping as the day as the race grew on. He had to keep stopping and patching and stopping and patching. In any case, he was really lamenting this, and I said, that's a great story. Like my bike tire kept exploding, and the East Timor military stopped to help me out while I was on my race.
They were my pit crew.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
I mean, if you just crushed it, then rode the miles with no problem, then you have no stories. It's like, yeah, I did really well. And that's what Amy Moritz also told us. Our best failures are our biggest failures are our best stories.
And she also said that the East Timor military will help you in when you're in really tough shape.
If you have them on speed dial.
The next time you and I speak, Brian,
Yes.
because as people may or may not know, you and I don't speak unless we're on mic. So we go huge chunks of time in the same space where we don't talk and we don't share because we want to keep everything fresh for the show. So in some ways, we don't really have a relationship other than what the people hear. We're sort of frozen in time, as it were.
Well, I literally wrap myself in bubble wrap for the times in between shows.
And you put yourself away. It's why your skin looks so good and I look so old.
I've only been out in the sunlight 12 days of my entire
You're
life.
really only about 12 and a half days old. You're like a greenhead fly.
What does that mean?
I don't know, you only live a couple weeks, like 3 weeks tops.
Is that right?
I think that's right.
Man, they're nasty for 12
I think fruit flies are like a 3 to 4 dayer, and I think like the big flies that we think about as being nasty are a 2 to 3 weeker. I don't know that for sure.
No, that sounds about right. House flies are a day or two.
Is that true?
Yeah.
We have to look all this up.
Or we can just say it and people will believe
People will believe it because that's how this entire political process is being run. Oh, what? I told you
Say
not
whatever
to.
you want.
I said don't get political. I said don't.
You can say whatever you want.
That's the beauty of this
And
country.
it goes on TV.
And it goes right on TV. What I was going to say to you was, Brian, I won't speak to you again until episode, I think, 46. By then, social media guru Anna Brooks will have run her first 10K.
Congratulations.
I will have been there, but I will take the higher road, and I will not push myself to run it because that would be dumb. Because what did we just talk about? Framework of failure, my friend. Framework of failure.
Place your framework of failure around you running a 10K next week.
That's what I'm saying. Not going to do it. Going to sit on the side, hold her gear,
Yeah.
cheer her on.
Cheer her on.
That's it. I'll maybe do some social media in her absence while she's busy.
Hey, wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do we use this framework of failure? Is it literally like, I'm thinking of it as a frame, like a picture frame
Yeah.
that you put around yourself and you look at yourself in the mirror and you say,
Get a good look.
remember the last time I failed?
Yeah, this is the HWRT.
Don't do this.
This is the HWRT framework of failure.
Yeah. This whole studio
This whole
experience
studio and
is a
record
freaking
session.
framework of failure.
It's a framework of failure.
There's chains. There's
a
chickens.
sleepover
there's
happening.
dogs, there's 1,000 children.
There's the East Timor
It's
military.
so loud.
They've rolled in to help us wrap the show up.
Come on, break.
Brian, you were deep in your marathon training for... Where are you going to have your marathon? Up in Millinocket, Maine?
Where's the finish line? Which way to the finish line? You can't get there from here.
Oh, yeah, that's the sweet stuff right there. Do you love that?
Peter,
I want to thank...
my knees are shaking.
I wanna-
I don't know if I want to go.
Thanks to composer Jeff Cronenberg for helping us come up with the little Millinocket sting. I love that. What's on tap for this
This is getting
weekend?
very real all of a sudden.
It should. Listen, one of us has to do something. Well, this was a hodgepodge of a fun show, and I want to thank you for being part of it, Brian.
I call it a patchwork.
It's a patchwork. I will see you on the other side of a 10K that I'm not going to run.
Hey, Peter, this has been episode 45 of How Was Your Run Today?
What? Is that it? Are we wrapping up? Where's the music?
You know what? Let's just go out on DJ Mr. Rourke's anthem.
Oh, I hear you. Okay, well, before we do, thank you to Jeff Cronenberg, our composer,
Thank you to Anna Brooks, our social media guru.
and to Andrea Bonigould, the artist in residence.
And a very special thanks to Pat, who called in about the train and the marathon coming to a children's bookstore near you.
I would buy that book.
Peter, folks should send their voice memos to howwasyourruntoday@gmail.com.
We'll take that, and we'll also take any submissions on the draw our would-be mascot for HWYRT. The submissions so far have been amazing, but we want more, people, more. All right, Brian, drop that beat.
HWYRT, HWYRT.
How was your run today?
How was your run today? How has all of your runs been?
Tell you how my run was.
How was your run today?
How was your run today? How was your run today?
With Brian Gould and myself, Peter Villa.
One-time Boston Marathon
Boston Marathon
finisher.
Yeah, finisher.
Hosts of the program.
People are actually working out / running.
As a doctor, a good run would work out all that anxiety and stress. What's going on? And I'm not a medical doctor.
You're
Which
not.
is true.
You're not a medical
I'm not a medical doctor.
And the fact that anybody would do anything based on anything we would do is just preposterous.
It's not preposterous.
Niche running material.
I'm excited to get back out there. So
Let's get outside. Let's enjoy it.
I achieved my runner's high.
I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, well, thank you for your approval.
To get back to what I was saying,
Oh, will you speak?
I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Brian. How was your run today? Brian Gould and myself, Peter Villa. Make me laugh, monkeys.
We're the Laugh Monkeys.
I think we have to take a break to go to Feedback Corner. Is that true? Hi, Lauren.
Hola, run dudes.
Hey, that's us.
I guess it is.
Fantastic.
Do join us on social media, either on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
And they can just find that link right on the site at hwrt.com. There's an email site. It's how was your run today at gmail.com.
That's the one.
It's that easy.
That's right.
HWYRT.
What? Hey. Have a great run today.
Thank you. Wow. Okay, on that note.
Fine. It's your show. I'm just your sound effects monkey over here in the corner.
No, I just
Totally fine.
This is what I do. I serve you things and you make them funny.
It's true.
That's the whole show.
Yeah. You try to bake a funny pie, but then I bring the custard.
Yeah, I make a great crust.
The haha custard is mine.
Haha, they're so funny and cute.